Hey guys, we're now on Instagram. Instagram.com/the 30 something broadcast. Follow us there for pictures and videos. Got questions for us? Feel free to leave them there. And thanks for all the support.
30 something broadcast. 30 something broadcast. 30 something broadcast.
This is the 30 something broadcast.
30 something broadcast.
This is the 30 something broadcast.
What's up, guys? This is the 30 something broadcast, a weekly broadcast brought to you by two guys living in their 30s, just trying to get by, make some money, enjoy their lives. I'm JT. I'm sitting here with Blake. Blake, how you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. I'm good, man.
How was your week, man?
It was good, man. I was just excited to tell you it was a great week. Back from Portland, man. Usually you get into a little bit of a lull after a vacation, but work was good. Registered for class. All was good, man.
Good to hear, man.
Yeah.
And what are you going to school for, man?
So I actually just changed my major from surveying to engineering. So a little bit different, but I'm excited about it, man. And it's a commitment, so
Nothing comes easy that's worth it, man. You know, you got to go
it's the
take
end
those
game.
classes. Right, exactly.
It's
Yep.
the end game. So that's what we're looking at.
Cool,
But
man.
yeah, man, it's going well. So how about you, brother? How about you?
I had a good week, Blake. Worked a bunch. Went down here in the little town I live in. We have a festival celebrating the black bears and the honeybees. It's called the Sourwood Festival. This is the 40th anniversary of it. So I went down, shot a vlog on my YouTube channel, JT the Juice Man. Check that out if you want to. It's just us walking around, checking out that little festival. But overall, all in all, it was a slow week, but a good week for me, man. Like I said, just worked a bunch, checked that out yesterday, and had a good time, man.
Slow is good, man. I like slow.
I can't complain, brother. I really can't,
Hey,
man.
that's pretty cool, man. So that festival comes around once a year, you were saying?
Yep, once a year. Yes, sir. That's for
Cool.
sure, man. Yeah, man.
We like to do that kind of stuff too. Just little arts and crafts things, or
That's what it
little local.
was. It was arts,
Yeah,
crafts, music, just stuff like that. It wasn't like a giant flea market or anything. It was all
that's
stuff
really
like,
cool, man.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, check the vlog out, guys, if you're interested. I definitely walked around and checked out a bunch of the booths and saw some music and stuff. But yeah, man, so let's get started with this episode. This week we're going to be talking about a few things. Well, two main things. We're going to be talking about cutting the cord. That was something you had brought up on a previous episode I thought we could get into. For those that don't know, cutting the cord is getting off of cable or satellite. It's not paying $150 to Spectrum or Time Warner or Cox or whoever you might get your internet from, or your TV provider. We're also going to be talking about Facebook, the pros, the cons, why, believe it or not, why I'm not on Facebook, why Blake is. We're going to be talking about that. But we wanted to start the show off with something else, Blake. You wanted to actually come in and let us know something that was going, or tell us a little story, man.
Yeah, no, we're gonna touch on a few things this week, but I figured we'd kick it off, man. You started the last episode and you're sharing some things, some thoughts, and a little bit of personal stuff. But man, I just wanted to touch on some of that debt. I have experienced some of that as well. When I listened to that, I was thinking, man, I've been there. You know what I mean? Like firsthand experience back in like 2008, man. This was like one of my first experiences with freedom, independence from my parents and all that. But got a credit card, man, $300 credit card. Was living it up. Just I actually was in between jobs at the time, so probably not healthy spending habits. Not healthy at all to have a credit card in between jobs.
Right.
But racked up maxed it out, I should say, and then paid the minimum payments for like 6 months, man. Next thing you know, it's a $700 debt that I owed. So that was a wake up call for me in 2008. And then
Who is the credit card provider, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it was Capital One, man.
Yeah, they ripped me off. That's who, if you listen
It was
back.
a high interest, and they
Yeah.
knew it was my first card, so it was set up to kind of, if you maxed it out, it was like a revolving door. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You could pay the minimum, but you were never going to actually pay it off.
It sounds like it was actually raising in value, or in
It was,
yeah,
man.
in
I think
debt.
it was, when I looked back on it, man, it was like 28% interest rate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something crazy like that. But so that's not even the worst, man. That was like my first experience with debt, just in general. And lucky enough to have like my parents step in and help me pay that credit card debt off, man, because that would have really, screwed me up long term. But later on, this was like probably 5 years later, maybe around 2012, I was living in Greensboro and I took out a payday loan. And man, these things are treacherous. Like I had no idea really like what I was getting into, and it's one of these things where they give you overnight, a couple $100s. It could be like 5 or 750, up to like 1,000. But like overnight, it's like boom in your account. But you have to pay it back within 2 weeks. And if you don't, this is what they don't tell you. It's like 700% interest.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
That's
you're
great.
talking, that's not double, that's not triple. I mean, that's just, you're getting, you're getting raped
Oh
at
yeah,
that
you're
point.
getting
I mean,
times seven, dog.
so dude, like, I took out that payday loan, and I mean, there wasn't a chance in hell that I could have paid that thing off in 2 weeks, and they knew that.
How much was the loan?
It was for $750. $750, all right? And so the rule of thumb was if you can't pay it off, the whole thing in 2 weeks, you had to make this $150 payment that didn't even go towards it.
It was like
It
a
was just
fee.
postponing you being able to pay it off, essentially. So nothing was going towards the overall. So dude, it just carried on and on and on. I'm just barely struggling to make that deferment payment every month. And next thing I know, a year goes by and that debt has risen from 750 to 1,500.
Wow, man.
And dude, I was at that point I had to close my bank accounts because they were coming after me trying to, I mean, it
Suck
was a
money out of your
mess.
accounts. Yeah.
Bro, it was a mess. I had people calling me, emailing me, and they sold out after like a year, they sold it to some other company, and they're Indians calling my phone like 7, 8 times a day, man, trying to like threaten me, take me to court, and like tell me a sheriff was coming for me and stuff like that. And I was just kind of laughing, but at the same time, I was scared, and I was like, how do I deal with this? So I actually, believe it or not, man, I called the DOJ, the Department of Justice, the North Carolina Department of Justice, and I spoke with in Raleigh, the representative that oversees all the corrupt businesses, the Better Business Bureau, the people that can't get accreditation. So I
Right.
called her and I said, "Here's the company that I took this loan out through," and she said, "Sir, that company is no longer legally allowed to operate in the state of North Carolina." She said, "That's how treacherous we view these loans." She's like, "I'm sorry that you have to go through this," but she was like, "You can't even take out a loan with them anymore in this state." But she said, "The fact of the matter is you took out money, and whatever you owe, you're gonna have to pay back." So, dude, I had to suck it up and I had to make payments, but luckily they were able to knock some of that interest down for me.
Nice.
But man, long story short, dude, it was a mess and it screwed my credit for like 2 years. Just now, maybe about a year ago, was I able to get a good credit card with a good interest rate because, man, that stuff was just haunting me.
What was the name of the company? Do you remember?
Man, I can't even remember,
Yeah.
honestly. I really can't. I'd have to go through my
But
Google.
this is like a check to cash or like a cash advance type place. I used to see those in Charlotte and
Yeah,
stuff a lot, and now I don't see them anymore. I wonder if they
they're
did shut a
illegal.
lot. Yeah, yeah.
They're illegal. But in South Carolina, as soon as you go over the border, they've got the
They're sitting there waiting.
title you can
Loan.
take your title of your car and put it up for $500, and if you don't pay the $500 in 2 weeks, they own your car and the repo man comes and takes it, so that kind of thing is a reality down in South Carolina, but in North Carolina they won't even allow it. But man, I it's just one of those lessons learned for me. But as I was listening to that episode, man, I was really proud of you. And as I talked to you earlier this week, you said maybe there was something that some good news that you got um, talking about your debt.
Oh well, I had just gotten off the phone with you. Well, you had called me. I was leaving work, and as soon as I got off the phone with you, I was pulling into Bank of America, depositing that $1,500, and man, that card's paid off, bro. That card's
Wow,
done,
man.
dude.
It's a great feeling,
And
brother.
and it's that one was Capital One too, man. I will tell you, if you're listening out there, from my personal experience, and it sounds like yours as well, Capital One has not worked for me. Now I have a Chase card that has high interest, but good rewards. I'm happy with the card. It's just got high interest. I try to keep it low.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, I've banked with Bank of America since me and my wife started dating. We joined accounts, and we joined accounts right when we started dating. That's a whole topic for another show. But
It is.
that's what we did, and we've banked with them. I mean, they send us emails saying like, "Hey, would you like to come meet with a financial advisor for free? Hey, here's our 401k plan. Hey, here's
Mm.
our keep the change. It'll go into your savings account. Would you like to start a savings account?" Like, I really feel like there's a lot of big banks out there that they want you to bank well, because that's how banks make money. People don't understand, especially with the collapse. People think like, oh, banks just rip everybody off and they just want, their 32 million for their CEOs to retire with and all this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of that is true. I would, bet the farm that banks are corrupt as hell. They're banks. But at the same time, if no one banks well, a bank doesn't work, because a bank to loan you $1,000 right now, say you went to Bank of America and you need to borrow $5,000 to buy a car. Well, they're taking that $5,000 out of not all of it, but that comes out of my account, this person's account, this person's account. They are
Right.
loaning
It's
you
a
money.
borrowing system.
Exactly. So people
So
have
I
to
mean
be
it.
banking well.
Well, and the economy is tied in with the banking system and the stock market and everything else. But, there is definitely a corrupt aspect to it. But the other side of the coin is we need it. I mean, we need somewhere to put our money. My company has direct deposit. I mean, I can't not have a bank account. I mean, if you wanted to say screw the government, I couldn't do that. I mean, straight up. I mean, so
Would you want to? We live in a capitalist society, man. I worked with guys in kitchens that I've had to like. I worked with this guy in a kitchen at my last job. He would have to get a Uber home because he had a DUI. So then to get the Uber, one of us would have to order it for him, and he'd have to pay us cash. And I'd be like, "Why don't you have a card?" He's like, "I don't do banks, bro. I don't trust
yeah,
the government." It's like, bro, you're the one with the DUI having to have us order you an Uber, so you don't trust the government or mess with the government at all. But you'll vicariously through me, I can be your proxy to be part of
no,
society. Grow
that's
up.
not how it works. That's not how it works. Yeah. No, your mistakes will follow you. I mean, that's definitely an immature reality for some people. But hey, man, let's carry on here. So
Yeah, that was a nice little topic. We're going to carry on. So this week, guys, the first thing we're going to get into is cutting the cord. I just, I think 2 episodes or so ago, and make sure you're going back and listening to these episodes, guys. If you're just finding us, it's a 30 something broadcast. You can find us on iTunes or YouTube. Make sure you, like I said, you're going back and checking out those episodes. We're really trying to build something here. But we talked about, you just touched on it lightly, cutting the cord, and we were
yeah,
talking about saving money and making positive decisions. And I thought that was something we could really get into here for a minute, man. I didn't write down a bunch of show notes, but I figured we could just kind of spitball back and forth and just talk about this. I'll let you know that I've actually, again, cutting the cord is getting off of uh,
no contract,
no contract for internet, or
no
for
contract.
no
That's
contract
how I look
for
at it.
straight to TV, landline, cable, satellite, anything like that. It's where you're paying $120 a month or whatever, and you have all these channels, and you flip through them with a remote, and that's all you got. That's, to me, seems so archaic at this point. I will let you know, Blake, since I moved out of my parents' house at 18 or 19, I have not had cable. Since 2010, in 2010 I had Netflix and my Xbox Live account, and since then now I
Hmm.
have Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go. I have this Spectrum app. Spectrum is like Time Warner or Charter. If where
Yeah,
you are regionally, you might know. So they're quickly becoming the biggest internet provider in America because they're
I've heard
moving to
of them,
internet.
and they're not even down here. I've seen
Well,
some of their trucks actually. I think,
in
but
Charlotte, they're in Charlotte, which is near you. That where the Hornets play is actually the Spectrum arena. So they're down there getting money because they were Time Warner. Time Warner and
hmm.
Charter became Spectrum.
I wonder if they potentially got bought out, or they bought out a smaller company like run by Duke Power or something like that. Maybe, but
I think what happened is Charter, which is most of like Western North Carolina and a few other places, they merged with Time Warner, and
Oh, it's created Spectrum.
they had already started calling themselves Charter Spectrum to kind of brand it, and
Okay.
now it's just Spectrum.
Yeah, that does make
But I
sense.
have an app through them. It's 20. See, they're catching up because you got these slings now. You got PlayStation View. You have these apps where you pay $20 a month and you get channels with um, you can sign in online to their streaming services and stuff and watch stuff on demand. So what Spectrum
Right.
did was, and Asheville was actually the guinea pig. They started the Spectrum app. Same thing. I've got about 50 live channels, HBO included, bro. Uh, and I also from the app can watch stuff on demand. So that's how I watch Preacher, Snowfall. See, I've gotten
Mhm.
back into watching once a week. My show's on.
Yeah.
Instead of watch an episode, watch an episode. 6 hours later, my day's gone.
Right.
So it's really helped. But that's kind of what I've been doing, man.
I'd say
Amazon,
I
you
I'd
know.
say I'm kind of close to you on there. Probably about 2010, I jumped on the Netflix bandwagon. That was really the introduction. I feel like that's everybody's introduction into streaming, these days. And which it's a good one, I mean, for what, $8 a month? I mean, there's hundreds of options. Um, I would say pretty quickly though, you know, we jumped on the Hulu bandwagon, and that was pretty. That one's cool just in the sense that it's instant, it's TV. If you don't want to have a contract and you don't have Sling or Spectrum or something, you can still watch ABC, NBC, all those, popular shows that come through those.
Right.
Um, but man, we hunkered down on those two streaming platforms for about 2 years, and then we upgraded to a different Roku. And when we did that, they kind of gave us a free trial to Sling, which now we've had Sling, I mean, for at least a year, and I love it because we don't have any type of stream like the Spectrum thing that you were talking about. We
Yeah.
don't, we just don't have that. So
See, I would.
Sling, Hulu, Netflix, and then we had Amazon for a year. We dropped it just because it didn't really make much sense to pay $100 for the Prime. We just don't use it, man. I mean, to be honest. But
That's
then we
okay.
also
I
we added
mean,
the HBO Go. You know what I
right.
mean? So right there, it's like with those five or six options, I mean, we stay plugged in, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got everything that we need, and it's really too much. That's the honest truth. Is it's too much.
I'm gonna look up what Spectrum cable costs right now, and then we're gonna see how much we're actually spending with our own like our own bundles. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've got it. I've got it right here.
Oh, cool. See,
I spend
you
40.
took
I
care
spend
of it.
$40 plus tax a month on stream. That's just video. That's not including my Apple iTunes. Yeah, it's not no music, and I'm a big music fan, so that is just for video streaming. And I've even tried out YouTube Red, and paid for that. I mean, I'll try some stuff out if I really do feel like it has something to offer. But really, those four are like the main ones that we kind of rely on, for most of our content.
Yeah, there's so right now you can get 125 channels, and this is with like a 2 or 3 year contract, which is also going to jump up on you. But this is the base price for the first 12 months. You pay $65 a month for 125 channels, all in HD, with thousands of on-demand choices, is what it says. So you probably get close to the same thing that like the Sling app gives you, or the Spectrum app, bro. Because I was on Sling, because I don't know if I put you on Sling, but I know you were coming over, and I would show you how I got Sling every year when the NBA playoffs came on, because it was the only way to watch it, and they send you a free Roku if you like prepay for 3 months. So dude, I've got a Roku in every house. People call me Mr. Roku, so like I have like six Rokus in this house, bro. I'm Roku'd up.
Yeah, man. So it's like so that's funny because so here's like the reality of the situation is and I've told my parents, I'm like, man, you guys got to cut the cord. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing still paying for that, And but in reality, what am I really saving at the end of the day? Because with all this new options of entertainment and new apps and new Rokus and stuff, man, it's like you're you're investing more of your money into having to watch the content. You know what I mean? You're kind of a slave to the device at some
Well,
extent.
I see what you're saying. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I say look at like flip the page, look at this instead. It's bang for buck. You know, so let's look, $65 right now a month. This is just for 125 channels. This isn't a bundle. This is just basic cable. $65 a month. So let's see what I do. So I'm not going to count internet because you're going to have internet whether you watch TV or not. Everybody has internet. So I pay 50 a month for internet. I'm not counting that. I'm not counting Amazon Prime because I don't get Amazon Prime for the streaming service. I get Amazon Prime for the shipment service.
Shipping,
Like I
yeah.
use Prime Pantry. I use which Prime Pantry's like dry goods, some canned food, stuff like that. It's like going to the grocery store. They send it to you in a box. You pay one simple shipment for the box. They send you everything. You know.
Right.
I mean, I buy all my electronics. Like I buy something from Amazon damn near 2 or 3 times a week, bro. You know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, not going to count that. So I'm going to count Netflix. We're going to say 12. I could be wrong. We're going to say 12. We're going to say Hulu's 8, so 20 right there. The Spectrum app's 20, so that's 40. HBO's included. I think that's all I have. So I'm saving just on there for the first 12 months price of $65. Yeah. I'm saving $25, bro. And look what I'm getting. I'm getting not 125 channels, but I'm getting 50 channels live. Like if I turn on right now, I can watch Hallmark Channel right now, Golden Girls. It's on. But I can also go and look up what did AMC put out this week. Oh, there's the episodes. I've got all that. I've got Netflix, all the original Netflix content. Hulu, which I'm
Right.
about to cancel. I've got
But
HBO Go.
I guess, no, I hear you, dude. But I guess the real point that I was getting at was like, why did we cut the cord?
Why? Right.
Why
Not
did we cut
not
the cord?
just the money, but
Just
why?
to
Right.
save money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a double-edged sword because yeah, you're saving the money, but then it also feels good to be a little bit more minimalist
Yeah.
and not have ties, the contract, like, another bill every month, and it's like, yeah, I mean, when you cut the cord, it feels great, but at the same time, you're kind of creating a little bit of
New cord.
it's a conundrum, man,
Yeah.
and it's a great representation of our generation because we'll say this, but then
Right.
yet we do this.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, I'm just keeping it real, because I do the same exact
No,
thing. I
it's
mean,
true, man.
I brag about how I've cut the cord, but
You're on the cord. Now you're on mini
at the
cord. You're like
same
a
time,
puppet now.
I'm more plugged in
Right.
now than
Right.
I've ever been.
Yeah.
So it's really like, and is that a good thing? I don't know. I mean, I feel good because I can get the news or I can watch, whatever I need to. But at the end of the day, should I be watching that much TV? That's where I need to.
We've talked about that. We talked about that on the content consumption
Yeah.
show. We said, when you sit back and look and think, wow, I watch 30 hours of television a week. I mean, that's a
And
part-time job,
that is scary, man.
you
That's
know?
scary. The statistics are scary, and I've actually I don't have any statistics for that, but I do have some when we do get on the social media thing. But I mean, that's the reality of it, and the reality of it is we're all streaming something, so we just need to have it in check. What are we spending? How much are we saving? I mean, those are things that we ought to consider. I feel like if we're going to cut cord, if we're going to, advocate for cutting the cord, do we actually know what we're saving?
So, I mean, New York Times posted an article. They said so much TV. On average, American adults are watching 5 hours and 4 minutes of television per day. So, that you're talking 35 hours, almost 40 hours of television a week, bro. You're talking
It's a
about a
full-time
second
job.
job.
It's a full-time
See,
job.
now I don't watch too much TV. I've said that before. I've actually
Right.
tried to talk my wife. I've got her on board to cancel Hulu. I'm trying to get her on board to cancel Netflix, dude. I'm telling you, man, I don't care about television.
Hmm.
Like, I like a few shows, but really, like, I don't care that I can't watch Orange is the New Black. You know what I mean? Like, who cares, dude? And
Yeah.
because I'm right there on the same page as you. Because really, if you're like, well, I cut the cord to save money, why don't you just cut all of it then? If money's your main thing, see, it's like, where do you say like, I cut the cord to save money, and it's
I'll be
like,
honest, man. There's a side of me that really like basically advocates for cutting the cord because you're actually like you're giving less money to the marketing, to the capitalist
right,
creation behind all the cable networks and stuff, which is like really, I mean, I don't know, man. I just, I don't want to contribute to the sickness, and I feel like in some regards it can get icky when you start to like say, oh, I want to be, uh, I don't want to rely on those things, and yet, you know that we do, whether it's through your phone or whether it's through the computer or sitting down on the couch. I mean, it's all a screen, you know what I mean? So essentially, it's kind of all. I kind of just lump it into the same thing,
Yeah, it
whether
is. It
it's
all
TV
is.
or it's all a screen, and I mean, it's not something you could be doing like reading a book or doing art or you know whatever. And I mean there is a definite, like, I have a lot of respect for people that sit there and do like hobbies in their spare time, and I try to, but I mean, dude, it gets away from me, and I like to sit there and just lounge out on a Saturday afternoon, and I don't even think twice about it. But on Monday when I'm like going back into work, I'm like, dang, I wish I would have done a little bit more with my time, maybe, instead of sitting there. I could have read a book or whatever.
Yeah, and
But anyways, man.
I know a lot of I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like even when I'm here's okay. So I watched some TED Talks. There was a guy on there that was actually talking about not being on Facebook, which we're going to get into later. It's completely unrelated, not why we brought it up, but I just thought about him, not even because of that, because of this. He said that the way he lives, and I'll try to get a link to this guy's TED Talk in the description of our show this week. But he said that he doesn't watch TV. He what he does for entertainment is he listens to the radio and he reads. He's not on social media, and he's an internet or he's a computer scientist or something like that. I'll put the video up, but he said that they had it figured out back in the 40s and 50s. Because especially with the phones now, and you can see on YouTube holding up my phone. I'll put a podcast on. I'll clean the whole house, Blake, or work on a project or out in the garage, and I'll have my podcast running. Well, I can walk around the whole house with my podcast on. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And you're not stuck. What I always feel like, and this is what I always tell my wife when we watch, because she doesn't necessarily watch a lot of TV, but the TV's always on. I don't know if she grew up like that. I didn't really grow up like that. I didn't have cable till I was about 13 years old. I grew up, anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but she'll have like To Kill Your Husband shows on, or the Murderer Next Door on, and she's working on her art appraisals. That's what she does for a living. She's working on stuff. She's not even watching the TV, but it's there.
Right.
I always tell her it's almost mind numbing watching like World's Got Dance or whatever, and you spend 3 hours watching that, bro, and afterwards you're just like, what did I just do for 3 hours? It's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, it's just a routine. You fall into it and you don't even realize it, It, and that I guess is where you end up losing your time.
because if you really cut the cord when the cord is no longer the like cable, it's now the internet cord running into your house, and you're still like watching all the same stuff for virtually the same price. Now here's what I say. This is for older people. This is what gets me excited about cutting the cord. Parents. Like you said, your parents. My parents cut the cord last year. Bro, my parents were spending $250 a month on cable, man.
That's
Because he
crazy.
wanted. Here's how they would get you back in the day, Blake. We never had to deal with this. You wanted the NFL Network? Well, you had to buy these 32 channels with it too.
Mm.
Oh, you want to watch every Pittsburgh Steelers game? Oh, well,
Hmm.
that's on Cox. To get the Cox channels, you got to buy 14 more channels.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the only way we can offer it. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
You're the cable company. What do you mean you don't know what you're doing? Now they're catching up because they were losing money big time, Bo. Netflix put them in danger.
Oh yeah.
And
No,
and,
well that.
and my dad went from paying 220. Hey, okay. Here's the thing, Blake. I legitimately pay for all of my streaming services. My stepdad got so pissed off at these guys, he cut the cable. He bought a Fire Stick. He downloaded Cody. He don't pay for nothing no more, dude. And he's
Oh
this
man.
guy. Now this guy is the guy. This is my hardline dad right here. Back when I was downloading music on Kazaa and BearShare and stuff, back when we were like 12 years old, he'd tell me, "You're gonna have the law here. You can't be doing that. That's illegal. It ain't moral." Hey, he quit caring real quick, didn't he?
Wow.
Money talks,
Yeah.
big dog, because you get
Money
stole
does
from so
talk.
long, and you finally say, you know what? I'm Robin Hood. We giving back to the poor.
Oh, that's funny, man.
So
All right,
hey, let's
vape break.
vape break, big dog.
30 something broadcast. 30 something broadcast. 30 something broadcast.
This is the 30 something broadcast.
30 something broadcast.
This is the 30 something broadcast.
All right,
Dude.
guys, and we are back. We're going to close
Mhm.
out the show today with one more topic. We're going to talk about everyone's favorite pastime, Facebook. I mean, it's the new American pastime, man. I think it's bigger than baseball, football, sports. It's bigger than anything right now, man.
Hey, dude, you're right about that, man. I mean, I can't think of, well, you're the only person I can think of that's not on it.
I know, yeah. Actually, if you don't mind, tell them that story about
Yeah.
down in New
So
Orleans.
we had a friend of ours get married, I guess maybe about a year, 2 years ago. Anyways, we were at the bachelor's party, man, and Hank, JT and I hadn't seen each other in a number of years at this point, and we were kind of catching up, and I was like, man, where are you at online, as far as like, what's your Facebook, basically, where can I find you? And you were like, I don't have one, man. And I was a little dumbfounded just because I knew how successful you had been previously on YouTube with some of your vape stuff. And, I just figured, well, surely he's got Facebook and surely he's probably got like thousands of friends on there and whatnot. But you're like, yeah, I don't really mess with it, man. And you just like, it wasn't even like because this, that, and the other. You just said, yeah, I don't really have it. And I had to like pry it out of you, like, well, what's the deal? Like, most people do have it, so why don't you? And you just said, I feel like it's more of a distraction than it is a tool. So that right there was a very like a different experience for me. I don't really talk about Facebook a whole lot either. I'll say that, it's just not really like a huge part of my life. I mean, it's there, but so when you told me that just so nonchalantly and so like confidently, like, yeah, I don't have it. It's not healthy, I was just like, wow, like maybe I need to step back and reevaluate, the way I looked, and I did. That was probably about a year or two ago. So since then, I've really, tried to wean myself off the teat.
Yeah, just man, I had MySpace back in the day, and I was on MySpace like, I'm in probably a sophomore in high school. My buddy showed me MySpace. I started getting on that, meeting girls and just meeting people
Yeah.
in general, and I was in a little town and all my friends were in Charlotte, so it was a good way to stay connected. My parents had no idea what it was. My people at school didn't even know what it was. Literally, me and my buddy Philip were the only two people that had MySpace. And then once people at my school started getting MySpace, I was kind of like, well, now this isn't as cool anymore. You know what I mean? Like now it's not a club. It's not a secret club.
Yeah.
And I actually met my wife on MySpace, man. And yeah, and so when Facebook came out, I just never downloaded it. I stayed on MySpace for like the few like dark years, and
Yeah.
then finally I was just like, well, I was on AIM back in the day, so I was meeting people on AIM. I was even on ICQ way back in the day, if people remember
Sure.
ICQ.
Wow. You're talking about some throwbacks now, man.
Oh yeah, homie. ICQ for all you 15-year-olds, you probably don't even know what that is. But I was so I was into but before that I was into internet chat rooms talking about Dragon Ball Z and all this other
Yeah.
crazy stuff, bro. So I was on the internet, so
Yeah.
by the
Dial
time
up.
Facebook came out, I just wasn't into it, and then then my mom had it. Then dude, everybody had it. Everybody had it, and I was like, I don't really want everybody knowing what I'm doing all the time, man. Like even when I have a child, I don't think my child. My wife might have a problem with it, but there ain't gonna be no birth pictures. There ain't gonna be no 1-year-old birthday party pictures. Like my kid is not gonna live on the internet. Like now when he's 12 and he's like, can I make a Facebook? All my friends have one. If he wants to make one, I'm not gonna stop him. Live the way you want to live. But
That's a big one right there, man.
I'm not
You
branding
know,
my child. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly, because they don't have the choice. That's something that I've talked about with my girls. Like, you know, they deserve to have the option if they want their life on Facebook or not. And as a parent, you don't have that right when they're 2, 3 years old to just put everything out there. So I think you're accurate in that assumption there. And there's a lot of people not knocking it, that do put that stuff out there. And if they get something out of it, so hey, but I don't feel like I need to see every single thing. That's a private side of your life that I feel like you should enjoy. Maybe alone, maybe share it with some friends and some family, but 500,000 people. I mean, it just seems a little excessive,
Yeah, and I mean, and I'll tell you, Blake, I will publicly. Here's a hot take. I'm knocking it. I'm telling you.
Okay,
Putting
thumbs
your
down.
yeah, you're getting the downvote from JT.
Okay,
You
so
put your
so
like divorce on Facebook. Like, come on now. You're writing a three
yeah,
paragraph thing, throwing all your husband or wife or whatever's dirt into the out there. Nobody likes. Well, here's the thing. Everybody loves to watch dirty laundry unfold, but nobody really likes to. You know what I mean? Like, why are you putting that out there? Like, and you cheated on me with the PTO leader and all this. And it's just
yeah.
like, come
Who
on now,
cares?
grow up.
Yeah.
And where does your life what does your life really consist of when my wife fills me in on people she follows on there that everything they post is my crappy ex-husband, this and that, my crappy ex-wife, this and that. Can't
Hmm.
see the kids. Well, guess what? Kids gonna see this. You know
Right.
what I mean? You're gonna put out there that you all this dirt onto the internet. It's always there. I'm
Well, and
against it,
something
man.
people forget is Facebook is you don't own that. When you post that picture of your kid, you no longer own that picture of your kid. Facebook owns that.
And that's just some dangerous stuff, man. I just feel like my I'm not going to go too into detail. This is why I don't like to mention like my wife's name or get too much in about where I live or who I am really. So even
Either of
on
us.
here,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
on here, I'm secretive about certain things.
Right.
Not overly secretive, but I mean,
You got to have your privacy.
if you want to dig super deep, you could find out about me. I have a YouTube channel. You can go watch quite a bit of stuff about me. But anyway, my wife came home the other night really upset because she has a brother in another city that's a little bit older than her. That the only way she hears from him is once a year on her birthday. He sends a Facebook comment, "Happy birthday." That's it. And she's like, I don't understand why there's not a real connection there anymore. I was like, because of Facebook. Because here's what you tell me: the only reason I'm on Facebook is to stay in touch with my family. That's a lazy ass excuse to stay in touch. An excuse to stay in touch with your family. The way you stay in touch with your family is by sending each other little tweets and messages. You ain't in touch with your family.
No,
Make a
no,
phone
not at
call.
all. Yeah.
Get in the
So, I mean,
car and
here's
drive.
here's the way I look at it, man. I'll give you my spin. I think that and I think your spin is really healthy, and I think that's probably the best route to go, to be honest with you.
Thank you, man.
But for me, I got on Facebook, I was on MySpace as well, just kind of to throw that, I jumped on the AIM, I jumped on MySpace, I was really late to the Facebook bandwagon. I actually didn't even make my Facebook. One of my friends did because they were like, you got to get on here. And I'm like, if you want me on there so bad, you do it. I don't want to do it. So they
It's
did
like
it. And
shooting
then
dope, bro.
like four
You got to
years,
tie me off. I'm not gonna do it.
yeah,
Like
like 4 years later, I was like, what is this? What is Facebook? So I got on there and I've kind of dabbled in it since then. But here's the thing. Facebook, and most people don't think about Facebook this way, but Facebook is a tool, it's a platform, and we as users of it look at it as it's our platform, it's our tool. But the reality is Facebook is 93%, all of marketing these days is through Facebook, is through social media. All of your comments and your likes, they're all processed and captured and stored, and they're used to create a profile of you. So the fact that we sit here and say, oh yeah, Facebook is how we keep in touch with our family, it's our platform. It's not our platform. Mark Zuckerberg isn't sitting in his office going, thank God that I can keep families connected. you
right.
know he's sitting there going, how can I keep my name at the forefront of this generation? He doesn't care what it takes or what the cost of that is, but the cost is our privacy, is our freedom. And really, in the end, man, I've got two things written down that, like, I personally really feel like um, I struggled with and I had to, like, come to grips with. But, you know, 25% of people that are our age, 18 to 50, I mean, they can't recollect the last time they didn't have their cell phone with them. That's a
Wow.
scary statistic, first of all. But second of all, tying in with what I was talking about, the marketing thing, I mean, 93% of all marketing is done through Facebook, okay? Then you've got 25% of the population so attached to their phone that they can't even remember the last time that they didn't have it. I mean, there's a big problem with that picture in itself. And you have told me before there's a sickness that comes with this social media, and the sickness is not in necessarily you logging on for 5 minutes and scrolling, but the sickness becomes apparent when you sit there and you look at our generation, and you're like, man, why in the world is there such a lack of respect for people's time, for people's like values, for people's opinion even? I mean, like you said, in the 40s and the 50s when everything wasn't instant and news didn't travel around the world in 60 seconds, people had a respect for sitting down by the radio with your family and listening to a program because there was a story to be learned or a moral or something came
Right.
out of it. But now you get online and you're like, oh, I got to find out something, but by the 5 minutes into it, you've been so distracted and then distracted again. And then again, it's like the original point of why you got on is just totally fully removed.
Yeah.
And you just become kind of a victim of the platform. And I feel like that's really the dangerous loop that, I found myself getting into like a couple of years ago. And I met you, man, and you were like, I'm not even on there. And I was like, you know what? I don't even need to be on this thing either. Like, I'll post stuff to Facebook, but I personally am not going to sit there and waste my time on it. And I've kind of done some, like, I've done a little bit of math, and so I feel like a good average for me on a day to day is I spend about an hour, a solid hour of time on Instagram and Facebook a day. And I feel like that's not too crazy, but then I also got to throw out there I'm probably spending about a half an hour a day on YouTube.
Right. Well, I
So,
feel like now I want to say this because, and this is why we focused on Facebook more than some of the other social media platforms. Like I feel like, and I know Instagram's owned by Facebook, y'all. Trust me. Instagram, YouTube, which they are made for consumers, but they are also made for creators. Like Facebook, really, like, and I know you can market your brand there, I guess, more, and you can post videos and do some stuff, but it's more of a marketing tool. I mean, it is a marketing tool for big companies and like individual people trying to brand themselves. But like Instagram, YouTube, a few other things, they're like even Snap. People are even doing Snap and stuff like that and making some money doing that. Like you definitely can create content there. And YouTube, you can learn a lot from YouTube, man. I watch so many DIY videos about how to fix everything around the house.
right,
So I
right.
think I think there's a big difference in some social media platforms. I've had an Instagram. I liked Instagram because I like posting pictures and I like getting some recognition for a good picture I take. But at the
Sure.
same time, the social aspect of it, I deleted my Instagram about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like it just was too much. It's just
Hmm.
like I don't want to know you,
Yeah.
Sandra.
Yeah.
Quit messaging me,
Right.
Sandra.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I feel like, what it comes down to is a balance. It's a personal balance, and some people, they need more of that outlet than others. Some people just absolutely refuse to even waste any time at all on it. So somewhere in the middle lies the answer, and I feel like eventually, and I feel like like you and me, I don't want to say our generation, but maybe like the older part of our generation that did experience dial-up internet and that did kind of experience the growth of technology, and not just I was born and the internet was this thing that everyone was using. We have a little more of a, I just want to say like a apprehension about putting everything out there
Well,
because
we've done it.
we remember when people had to mail letters,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so you don't want to get so far removed from the past that it starts to look like a sci-fi movie. But at the
Right.
same time, I love the internet and I support, people getting smarter or gaining knowledge through it. So it's just one of those things, man. Like it's going to be a balance, and it's going to be something that we as a human race will struggle with, and hopefully we don't end up like Wally.
Yeah, and I just consider myself, I think, and we'll end it on this. I just consider myself more a creator of content than a consumer of content. And I would say any creator does. Like anybody that I do consume their content on YouTube, they're not consuming my content. They're on the next platform up. They're not really. You think of somebody that's got
Right.
32 million, views on certain videos and they've got, 3 million people following them. They're not watching YouTube. They're too
No,
busy.
they're not wasting their time. Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
how I am. I'll catch up real quick and do a few things and check out some of my followers that have become like almost friends, you know.
Yeah.
And but then I'm back to grinding and doing the
Right.
videos. This video, y'all don't realize this video slash podcast, aka broadcast, it takes
A lot.
hours to put
Yeah.
together, y'all. I
That
don't
last
have
episode
time.
was some serious time in that. Yeah. But well, man, I think we kind of touched on everything we needed to there. I think that really it's just a matter of setting up boundaries for yourself. Whatever that looks like, whether it's saying, "Hey, I'll give myself an hour a day," and boom, cut it off there, or whether it's just you know,
Well, and we, how about this? If you're out there listening, do you agree or disagree with how either I feel or Blake feels about Facebook and social media? And it's funny because I'm actually going to send you just some social media links, but you can check us out on YouTube. Just look us up, the 30 something broadcast. As hypocritical as it sounds, we actually have an Instagram now. So look us
plug
up
it.
there, the 30
Yeah, dude.
something broadcast. And leave us a comment and let us know how you feel or what you think, and we've actually had a few people already comment on some of our stuff and asking us questions. We're going to get to that in the next episode or two. And we,
Downloads are rolling in from the Podbean too,
yep,
so that's good, man. The momentum is there.
yep, we're on iTunes. You can check us out, the 30 something broadcast. Yeah, man, that's a pretty strong episode for the week, Blake. I guess we can cut it here, brother.
I'm Blake.
I'm JT,
We're the
30 something.
broadcast.
And until next time.
Keep it real.